Hello students, today we will discuss about another one important part of emulsion chapter, that is rheological properties of different types of dispersion system. Rheological properties of different types of dispersion system, for example colloid, emulsion and suspension. In this topic we will discuss about the various introductions of disperse system, classification, size of disperse system in cases of suspension, that is particle size, in cases of emulsion, that is globule size, and in cases of colloid, what is the particle size of colloidal system. And next, rheological properties of that different types of colloidal system as well as emulsion and suspension. Then we will discuss about the factors affecting rheology of colloidal dispersion as well as disperse system, emulsion and suspensions, and semi-solid. So let's start. So first, all of you know what is disperse system. Disperse systems are nothing but that are the formulation which consist of two or more phases with a highly developed interface between them. In cases of colloid, we know that the colloidal particle, that is the range, is colloidal range. In cases of suspension, the dispersed phase, that is insoluble solid, and dispersion medium, that is water. In cases of emulsion, that is the mixtures of oil and water by the help of one emulsifying agent that are prepared. So rheological properties, what is the importance of that we have to study today. For example, one emulsion that is present inside a bottle, or for example one colloidal dispersions or emulsion or suspension that is present in a bottle. So when the patients will use that suspension or emulsion or that colloidal dispersion, that means formulation, it should come out very easily from that bottle. So for flow property of that particular formulation, rheological properties is very much important. In dispersed system, the dispersed phase is distributed in the form of small particles, or in cases of emulsion, that is small globules, in the other continuous phase, that is also known as dispersion medium. So according to the particle size or dispersivity of the dispersed phase, the dispersed systems are divided into two types. First one is finely dispersed or colloidal system, and second one is coarsely dispersed. Coarsely dispersed, that is again subdivided into two parts, that is emulsion and suspension, that all of you know. So what is the size of dispersed system? In colloidal system, the particle size varies from 10⁻⁴ or 10⁻⁵ to 10⁻⁷ centimeter. And in cases of emulsion and suspension, the particle or globule size that should be ranged in the form of 10⁻⁴ centimeter. From the figure also that is clear, see that smallest, that is in cases of solution, that soluble particle that will be present in a molecular form. In colloid, this is the second pictures, and third one is the suspensions. See that from that picture also you can say that the smaller particle, they will takes their position in the void space present among the particles. So that's why the particle size is larger in cases of suspension. In cases of emulsion also, the smaller globules, they will tend to fuse together, and after that they will form a larger globules. So what is the rheological properties of different colloidal system? So what is colloid? We know that colloid dispersions or colloidal system is a heterogeneous system which is made up of dispersed phase and dispersion medium. In colloidal dispersion, one substance is dispersed as a very fine particle in another substance called dispersion medium or continuous phase. Generally, the colloidal dispersions are non-Newtonian in nature. Now, different types of flow properties that already you have studied in rheology chapter. We know that different types of flow properties are there: Newtonian flow, non-Newtonian flow. Next, non-Newtonian flow, that is three types: plastic, pseudoplastic and dilatant. So the amount of solid, insoluble solid present in suspension depends on that. The rheological properties also that will vary. For example, if the amount of solid that is present in suspension that is very much low, in that cases it will shows a Newtonian flow, and that very dilute solution okay, not solution, very dilute suspension, it will shows Newtonian flow, and when the concentration of solid that will increase, it will shows the non-Newtonian flow. Now non-Newtonian, sometimes it will shows plastic viscosity, and sometimes it will also show pseudoplastic viscosity, and sometimes it may also shows the dilatant flow if the solid content is more than 50%. So all of this that already you have studied in rheology chapter. So next, let's start the various factors which affect the rheology of a colloidal system. So what are the factors? First factor, that is shape of the dispersed particle. If the particle are spherical, then it will show low viscosity, and if the particle shows the linear shape, it will show high viscosity. So obviously we can say that the shape of dispersed particle on which the viscosity of the formulation depends on. Second one, affinity of particles to the continuous medium or dispersion medium. If the linear particles are placed a medium having low affinity for particles, these tend to assume spherical shape and viscosity will decrease. Third one, molecular weight of the particle. That is another one factor on which the rheological properties depends on. Higher the molecular weight of the particles of the dispersed phase, greater will be the viscosity, and vice versa. Obviously, if molecular weight is high, then the particles of the dispersed phase, then greater will be the viscosity. If molecular weight is less, viscosity will be also less. So these are the three factors on which the rheological properties of colloidal dispersion depends on. So what is viscosity? In rheology chapter already all of you know different types of viscosity terms: viscosity, relative viscosity, kinematic viscosity, different types of viscosity terms you have studied. Another one is there, intrinsic viscosity. So what is viscosity? Viscosity is nothing but that is an expression of resistance to flow of a system under an applied stress, that is shear force. So the flow of a dilute colloidal system is expressed by an equation which is developed by great scientist Albert Einstein. So this is the equation: eta is equal to eta 0 into 1 plus 2.5 theta, where eta means viscosity of the dispersion medium, eta 0 is equal to, viscosity of dispersed phase, eta 0 is equal to viscosity of dispersion medium, and theta means volume fraction of particles. So by using this equation, we can determine the viscosity of one colloidal dispersion system. This is one typical flow curve for a colloidal dispersion. In rheology chapter already all of you have studied different types of rheogram, plastic in cases of plastic flow, in cases of pseudoplastic flow, and dilatant flow, and in cases of intrinsic viscosity already you have studied about the different types of rheogram. Just remember one practical already you have performed, that is determination of molecular weight of gelatin by using viscosity or by using Oswald viscometer. So you have calculated, so just remember that part. So the same type of another one rheogram that I have drawn here. So just go through that chapter, then again you will remember that what is intrinsic viscosity. In practical also you have calculated viscosity, and then you have already you have drawn a graph, and from that graph you have calculated the intrinsic viscosity. So this is one typical flow curve for it colloidal dispersions. See that this practical already you have performed in lab, that is determination of molecular weight of polymers by measuring viscosity of colloidal dispersions. So in lab already you have performed the molecular weight of gelatin. So just remember that. So here the procedure that is given here, that is same like that. By measuring the viscosity of colloidal dispersion, we can determine the molecular weight of polymer. Just write down the example, that is gelatin, that already you have performed. So higher the molecular weight of dispersed particle, greater will be the viscosity. Obviously that in factor already you have seen that. Therefore by measuring the viscosity, molecular weight of polymer can be determined. So the approximate molecular weight of dispersed phase that can be determined by using this formula or by calculating the intrinsic viscosity. The formula is eta is equal to Kma, where K and A are constants. Eta means intrinsic viscosity and M means molecular weight. The same formula you have already used in lab for calculations of molecular weight of gelatin. See that graph. In practical also the same type of graph you got. So this K and A both are constant, that are the characteristics of a particular polymer solvent system. In cases of gelatin is the polymer and solvent system it was distilled water. So these constants K and A, which are obtained by calibrating with a colloidal dispersions of known molecular weight and characteristics. Once K and A are known, the molecular weight M can be calculated by experimentally determining the intrinsic viscosity. Now here capillary viscometer, that means Ostwald viscometer, that can be used for this purpose. After determination of viscosity, just you have to draw a graph by taking concentration in x-axis and eta specific viscosity on y-axis. So then you will get a straight line, and after that straight line where it intersects the y-axis, that value will give the value of intrinsic viscosity. So by using this intrinsic viscosity, we can calculate the molecular weight of that particular polymer, for example gelatin, by using the formula given above. So next we will go the rheological properties of coarsely dispersed system. Coarsely dispersed system means suspension and emulsion. Suspension and emulsion falls under this category of dispersed system. Here from that figure we can say that this is first figure, that is one suspension, and second figure, that is one emulsion. In suspension and emulsion, the flow properties have major influence in the manufacturing, during storage and administrations of drug. Administration means when the patient will use that particular dosage form. The flow properties such as pseudoplastic and thixotropy, that are very much important for physical stability of one suspension. For emulsion, flow type may vary according to their concentrations. Now thixotropy, gel sol gel transformations, anti-thixotropy, in rheology chapter all you have studied about that details. The different types of rheogram already you have studied. So the flow properties of pseudoplastic, just remember the polymer when that are added in water, tragacanth in water, it will shows pseudoplastic. So same here also, the flow properties such as pseudoplastic and thixotropic behavior are important for physical stability of one suspension. And for emulsion, flow type may vary according to their concentrations. So first we will study about the rheological properties of suspension. During storage, the suspension exhibit gel-like structure. Why? Because no stress is applied, no shear force is applied. So because of that, it lowers the rate of settling. On moderate shaking, the product assumes sol-like behavior, which permits the pouring of product from the bottle. The sol-like behavior also helps in uniform spreading of dermatological preparations. Therefore, in order to maintain these properties, the flow properties should be studied for one particular suspension. In cases of gel sol gel transformation or thixotropic behavior of one semi-solid, and in cases of emulsion, suspension, already you have studied. Just remember rheology, gel sol gel transformations or thixotropy. Just remember what is the definitions of thixotropy. That is thixotropy